Hello friends, welcome to this channel, Center of Excellence Pharma 4. In this podcast channel, we focus mainly on discussing about the latest developments into technology, pharmaceutical challenges, and how emerging technologies can contribute to achieve excellence and Pharma 4. In this episode, I am going to discuss about distribution resource planning. That's a farmer's next frontier. Basically, from manufacturing, you go to the distribution and logistic and see what is the final mile to deliver the products, goods, drugs to the patients. So we have designed a concept of Center of Excellence Pharma 4. Dr. Jayan Joshi, that's myself, has initiated this idea and objective to use cutting edge technologies in the pharma industry based on to the principles of Industry 4. We have developed a content which is available at our website. We have also launched a course, Smart Manufacturing in Pharma at Udemy platform, which has got 20 modules covering technologies as well as the domain challenges. We have launched a YouTube channel about 5 years back. This has got 375 videos as on today, and they are increasing. This is covering starting from the business strategy, technologies, pharma challenges, change management, transformation, and reaching to the audits and validations. Podcast channel which you are listening, this is a 111th podcast which I am recording it. So far, response is very good. It's excellent. Across the world, a lot of listeners are there, and there is a good, excellent feedback. I strongly suggest and request to all of you, please share your thoughts, comments, feedback, and any new areas which you feel we should really focus with our research team and share that and update you. Our book channel has got 10 books. This book series is also available onto Amazon Kindle and paperback. These are also available for your knowledge sharing. Do write to us about that feedback also. So let's start with the agenda. I'm going to discuss about the 5 pillars of pharmaceutical. DRP is a distribution resource planning excellence, inventory management and control, advanced demand forecasting and planning excellence, market intelligence integrations and advanced analytics, cold chain and temperature control excellence, blockchain-based chain of custody and the product integrity, regulatory compliances and traceability excellence, technology infrastructure and digital integration, market dynamics and strategic value creation, implementation excellence, and the future directions. The entire distribution planning depends upon mainly onto the network designing and optimization, because we are integrating from warehouse, transportation, routes, logistic system, and finally reaching to the chemist and finally to the patient. So this network designing and its optimization is the most important thing. We have to strategically design the distribution centers and their placements so that the product or the drugs can reach to the patients in a short time in a good quality. This will reduce the distribution cost maybe by 15 to 30%. This should use the location optimization algorithms, which is very important. Now, today, with artificial intelligence and machine learning, these capabilities are available. Analyzing the demand patterns, transportation costs, regulatory documentation requirement, and the service level objective should be the factors to be considered while building up the algorithm. This also should consider the temperature control, storage requirements, and regulatory compliances while handling your cold chain, because the products like your vaccines and all needs to be transported with a particular condition, temperature, humidity, and all that. Maintaining a continuous product availability for the life-saving medication is another challenge. The number of large pharmaceutical conglomerates are already identified, and then they are now working on to developing, establishing this particular thing. Transportation route optimization is challenge, as I mentioned. Cost saving through the advanced algorithms, which needs to be built up considering the product demand, drugs demand, and then the distance to be covered up with the transportation capabilities, capacities, all those things are also to be considered. But this can deliver maybe 25 to 40% into the reduction into the transportation cost. This needs to be also considered, as I mentioned, temperature, delivery time, vehicle capacity, regulatory compliances, and all that. Balancing the efficiency and the product integrity is another challenge. This needs to be considered throughout the distribution cycle. And this requires a specialized vehicles, as I mentioned, like products like vaccines and all that, they need to be transported at a specific temperature, humidity, and all that. So this needs to be considered. And temperature sensitivity products like biological and vaccines need to be transported in considering the required precautions. Transportative arrangement needs to have a consideration from the inventory optimization. As you all know, inventory requires money to be invested. Higher the inventory, more money is blocked up. Lower the inventory, you may lose the customer. So this balancing is a challenge, and artificial intelligence, machine learning can contribute a lot actually. So this will enable maybe 30 to 50% of inventory reduction. At the same time, it can also maintain the service level. So advanced demand planning patterns, machine algorithm learning can build up those algorithms, and then that will help in maintaining the service level. In pharma industry, as I mentioned, the challenges are more because of the shelf life also. So these products have a particular specific shelf life, and this have to get consumed in that particular time period. So you cannot really keep those products at a various conditions where those storage conditions may or may not be available. So this needs to be considered and all this. These are the various factors which needs to be considered while working on to the stock level monitoring and all that sort of. Now, when we are really looking of adoption of emerging technologies, the real-time stock is available. At the same time, you can build up your algorithm with artificial intelligence and machine learning, which can really help. So the technology convergence is the thing where artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, and real-time visibility, all these things can really work together. And that will help in intelligent automation for demand anticipations and inventory optimizations and all. Now, as you know, pharma industry is expected to around 1.5 trillion, which is a huge thing and which is growing up. And at that level, monitoring this distribution resource planning systems and its implementation is big challenge. But if you look at it from ROI point of view, ROI can be between 1.7 to 14. So that's a big opportunity. Now, as I was talking about the inventory optimizations and stock levels managements and all that, automated replenishment system is the future. So instead of working on to some manual ordering processes, you can automate those processes based on to the inventory levels which are defined by using artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is going to be a continuous process. That means depending upon the demand forecasting and all this sort of thing, these levels can also go on changing. They can also go on monitoring, and then automatically they can go on generating those requirements which will get reflected into your sales and operation planning or integrated business planning and all that sort of a thing. So intelligent algorithms can help you in optimal recommendation. So it's not just your historical consumption pattern, but real-time data, depending upon your seasonal variations or forward-looking things, it can go on changing those quantities which are required. So now your minimum order quantity, lead time considerations, those variabilities and all that sort of thing will reflect onto your safety stock levels to be monitored and all. And this is what is going to be a big value contribution into your pharma distribution system, depending upon the demand patterns and all. Now, as I was mentioning, this machine learning can really contribute a lot into the demand prediction. Distribution resource planning is a frontier for the distribution network. As I discussed earlier in the beginning, this network which we are going to plan it out of capturing the data, storage of data, sharing of the data, data integrity and all that. This will really focus on to building up a precision, efficiency, and reliability onto the data. And artificial intelligence with a predictive analysis can suggest you the changes into the stock quantities and those data to be monitored and all that sort of a thing. So fluctuations onto the demand can be controlled, and its reflection or its impact onto the entire digital supply chain management can really take place and all that sort of a thing. And this is where that ROI will come from the distribution resource planning implementation. Now we have to also think about the collaborative demand planning. Now, what is this collaborative demand planning? You have to really think about this maturities of the systems. These maturities will go on coming up with your continuous monitoring, continuous improvements into the systems and also. So improved data accuracy will really get reflected. Now this will come based on to your uh, this integrated network which I discussed in the beginning of the systems and all. So your sales data, your marketing data, your medical inputs data, your regulatory data, your sales supply chains teams data, all that has to really get integrated. And this is a structured process. No, all that data will come into the system, and all this will get reflected into your quantitative and qualitative analysis based on to the market intelligence and all. So this is a continuous process. Normally, what we recommend into the implementation is that you should have a 1 month's confirmed plan and next 3 months a tentative plan, which will continuously go on rectifying it, correcting those figures and all that sort of a thing. And this is very essential when you're also thinking, planning for launching of a new product. You have to also consider the cycle of that particular product or the competitive products which are really coming up into the markets and all this sort of thing. At the same time, all this data is going to the compare with the into your other systems also getting reflected and all the things. So that data input will help you in an efficient decision-making process actually. So we always discuss about the data-driven decision-making, which needs to be considered over. You can also have a statistical forecasting models. The various models which you can really do or build up your algorithms of artificial intelligence and machine learning are based on to these various things actually. You can also think about the predictive analytics, you can have a sensitivity analytics or something, you can have a historical sales pattern. So various things which depending upon your product, depending upon your geography, you can apply those models and then consider it and all. Monitor those things on a month-to-month basis or something. Do comparison with the actual data and all, or feed in that particular algorithms into your systems, and then you go on monitoring it. That will help you to select the appropriate models. So you can start with one model and then go on refining it and all this, like, and then come to the conclusion. And this is where we always discuss about the market intelligence algorithm. So you may have a forecast accuracy into earlier system, we may be varying, say 20 to 30% or something like that. But when you are also comparing the developments into the market based on to the competitive activities, your regulatory developments, your healthcare policies, government are doing it, epidemiologists trends which are to be considered, and doing all that data analytics, you build up your market intelligence system. So proactive adoption can really help to build those integration requirements and all. So predictive analytics will have a certain capability. Now, as I mentioned, the demand disruption should not happen. You should really be prepared to support to the market requirement. You should also help to foresee the future markets. Know that is this week, maybe next 2 weeks or next month or something like that, because sometimes it all depends upon your uh, product life cycle or product manufacturing cycle and all that. So manufacturing execution system, the procurement systems, or all that needs to get integrated. So we are also trying to see how we can optimize the inventory positioning. So we have to really use it for the forward looking from the inventory management point of view. And considering this various variables, nowadays there are more and more variables are coming into the system, and practically during this pandemic or this COVID time, almost all companies observed it and all that sort of thing, and they faced real challenges. And this is where the supply chain management, this is where the distribution planning, and this is where the adoption of this emerging technologies is becoming a challenge. And we should all really think about it and focus on to that. Temperature control logistic is also important thing, because you want to offer the good quality products to the your patients, to the your customers, and at the same time maintaining the product integrity data. That means the complete blockchain traceability data should be available. And this is another challenge, because you are spending a huge amount of uh, cost, yeah, onto this controlled uh, cold chains and all. This is very become an important area. And in case if there are any disruption, probably you lose the credibility with the patient, or you may lose the product, and then could be returns also. So real-time cold chain monitoring is important, because this also requires huge amount of data. But today, with technologies like IoT, where you are capturing the temperature and humidity and all that relevant data in the long from IoT, which is going into your cloud, and it is shared. And the system with AI-based algorithm, you can even build upon alarms also in advance. These are the benefits which are really available, which were really not there. Anyway, but this requires a huge amount of investments also into the system, in hardware, in software, and training of the teams, training of the skills to adopt to this particular real-time data and take necessary disruption, corrective actions is most important thing. So immediate alerts can be built up and all corrective actions can be taken up. And this is where, as I mentioned in the beginning, that integration of IoT and cloud is going to be the visibility of this thing. But you should really think, plan it out onto this actually. And automated environmental controls can be monitored. No? Now, this will reduce the cost by maybe up to even 70%. And this will minimize the labor expenses and will have a edge over the manual monitoring and all this sort of thing. So environmental condition, as I mentioned, temperature, humidity, airflow, and all everything will be monitored. And this is what is going to get a value creation into your distribution centers, no? Logistic things and all. At the same time, it will also maintain the regulatory compliance data. So the entire audit trail also will be available, which is going to be most important thing. Blockchain is going to contribute is this is based on to the chain of custody systems and all. This will build up a maturity of traceability of product or a drug from moving from the warehouse to the cold chain to the distributor to the chemist to the patients and all that. So 100% traceability is available, which becomes a tamper-proof documentation and secure system. There won't be any uh, counterfeit drugs can get it into the systems and all that sort of thing. This is assures you the product movement, storage conditions, handling procedures, and all that sort of thing. This gives a confidence to the patients and all that sort of thing. So that's a big advantage for building up a credibility of your product and then the company and all. Digital authentication and anti-counterfeiting measures can be taken into consideration. The high accuracy of the data and legitimate products or the drugs are moving from one step to another into the entire logistic system and reaching to the patient is most important. Serialization is another regulatory requirement from the documentation point of view. That means your product and batch will have a unique product identification number, and you can trace it out the entire movement based on to that. And this really assures a tamper-proof systems and without having any unauthorized access and all. Digital certificates can be generated, can be given for the user or the patient from his own line, which will have a complete distribution tracking and all that sort of a thing, which is a main advantage into this distribution setting. So distribution planning will get supported by all this data and all. So batch traceability is the most important thing, which is really that can help you to achieve maturity maybe up to 90% also, and 99% to the batch accuracy there. Tracking capabilities are developed from manufacturing to the final dispensing product and all. Record maintaining, that's your batch number, expiry date, storage condition, distribution history, everything will be monitored and is available to all those relevant stakeholders across the system. And this gets integrated with your manufacturing execution system, warehouse system, customer relationship management platforms and all. So that's another advantage which your distribution resource planning should be taken into consideration. You also have a GMP or good distribution practices requirements and all. So this will comply to those documentation requires also, which will also help in maintaining or reductions into the regulatory violations which were there that can really come to almost zero. And this ensure the distribution activities requiring the GMP requirements and all. So compliant documentation will be automatically generated, maintained, and is available to all those relevant stakeholders depending upon this access available to them. And that monitor the standard operating procedure. That means those are also being followed up and continuous compliance is also there availability. So this is going to be the requirement from the industry point of view, and then this helps in the building up a knowledge base into the distribution technology. A digital audit trail is also available, which I mentioned in relationship with the blockchain. This audit data, as I mentioned, also either your RFID or QR systems, and also can anybody into the system who has relevant access can trace it out the uh, product batch movements and all. And in the real-time data, since the data is available with the cloud and everything, those things also will be available. And this eliminates the manual processes. So when we were having a manual processes, there were possibilities of errors, mistakes, and all that sort of a thing. Now this data is captured directly from the system through an automation. We'll have a less and less or probably zero error messages and all that sort of a thing, and provides access to all the regulatory authorities data also. Compliance monitoring is also continuously available. Now, in case if there are any changes are there, the regulatory change impact assessment is also available. So there won't be any compliance gaps are also there by proactive monitoring, because the systems can really foresee what is really likely to happen. It may be into cold chain, it may be the temperature, humidity or something, or it could be any route movement or something like that, any delays or something. So this is going to be an advantage into a real-time data, and this will also help in uh, improving the distribution resource planning system as well as the compliance documentations and all. Now, when we are really looking out complete digital transformation, we are also planning to have a integration either with your ERP system, that's the enterprise resource planning system, or any system architecture where they are there. So DRP can also get an integrated. So this will also help in demand planning, inventory, and many more other areas which I discussed earlier and all this sort of thing. This will eliminate those earlier analog system which was having data silos and was not been able to offer the real-time visibility about the distribution performances and all that sort of thing. So the complexities into the pharmaceutical ERPs, depending upon your demand of the product, availability of the movement systems, or availability about the systems with the cold chain specialities or something, all those are requirement of the batch tracking, maybe the expiry date integration, so temperature monitoring and all. So all this gets integrated into the your systems architecture, which is where we have to really look, think, and plan, or your strategy should be there. All these considerations will be taken into consideration while designing and implementing the distributions resource planning systems. Now, will be a lot of benefits will be there because the infrastructure which you are really building up is available to maintain a lot of data, and that can lead to good decision making, which will really help you in improving your productivity, profitability, and that will bring down the distribution cost. It will also reduce your inventories and everything. So a lot of benefits are going to come to scalability of your systems and integrating various functions, as I mentioned, into the demand planning, inventories, and all that sort of thing. And a continuous monitoring can plan to build up more add-on capabilities also. No? You can think innovatively and build up advanced analytics and artificial intelligence integrations and all sort of things. So the factors which can really bring those advanced analytics will be there, that extracting the actionable insights from the distributed data, demand patterns, supplier performance, transportation efficiencies. You can go on evaluating continuously. Distribution decisions, you can plan it out. Machine learning algorithms can help in optimization. Predicting potential disruptions can be taken into consideration. Artificial intelligence integrations will help in building up the distribution capabilities. Changing the conditions also can be taken up for optimizing the decisions and all that. Predicting challenges will help before any disruption occurs it and all. Multiple data sources can be simultaneously used in an integration. And you can think more on to the new intelligence system than the traditional systems and all. And this is where I am coming to the last stage of discussions of ROI and the financial performance. See, whenever we are doing an investment, there are always the tangible benefits and intangible benefits. Now, here I wanted to share that no, the tangible benefits can use your return on investment can be between 1.7 to 14% and all. And payback period can be 18 to 36 months. That is 1.5 year to 3 years, which is quite a good returns, which I should say it actually. And this will help in improving the working capital performance and reducing the risk and all that with a uh, intangible benefit which I have mentioned is about the customer satisfaction. Inventory reduction can be 15 to 50% depending upon what level you are operating presently and what benefits you can visualize it and all that. So there is a strategic value creation during this disruptions and all, and working capital improvements will come. It will also lead to a competitive advantage and create a market leadership because no, customer centricity is more important. No, if you can offer a good product quality at a competitive prices and with best support to the customer, that's patients and all that sort of a thing, your service levels will go on improving with a proper implementation of this DRP systems and all. And you will have a stronger relationship with patients, doctors, your healthcare systems providers, like hospitals and all that. And then that reputation will create a value for you as well as to the your entire systems and all. So in case if you're planning to launch a new product systems or your innovations and all, it can really help into that also. Now, this also requires to be considered about the implementation strategies and the change management. So this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is not a very simple thing. It requires a long-term planning because we are changing from your hardware, software, new data, and you have to really get your skills to be trained onto this thing, and also cultural change also will be there. So you have to plan it out your timeline for these investments and everything. And then there are a lot of complexities are there. Maybe you have to think about the redesigning about the system, or maybe those parameters which you want to monitor it and based on to your inventory levels or something like that. Change management, I mentioned it. This is a cultural change because you are moving from your human brain using the data decisions, or it has to move to the data driven decision making. So that shift is there. So and technology integration is another important functions and all. But this is evolving it, and this future evolution is going to be more dynamic. And this new emerging technologies, IoT, blockchain, robotic, chatbot, artificial intelligence, this will go on contributing a lot and all that sort of thing. So this has to be done in a phased manner. And you should also be able to use analytics of this particular data with these various emerging technologies and all. And this can contribute from the integration point of view and from the competitive advantage into the sustainability. So this is has to be thought about it as a strategic transformation, and your industry leadership should really think about it. No, they have to also think about in a long-term basis what really going to come, how it is going to help to support your innovation, market agility, and the risk management, which is really going to be helpful. Superior performance can be achieved with multiple dimensions, and organization resilience should be really built up. So building up the gaps between the global distribution and patients' access system should be planned it out. This will also lead to intelligent planning and execution. Network optimization will contribute. So, as I discussed earlier, you need a holistic approach. It's a people, processes, and technology, which also everything will go on contributing it around. So, with this, actually, I want to stop it over here. I shared all my thoughts and try to cover up all those various aspects about the distribution resource planning, starting from the technology, investment, long-term planning, benefits, quantitative, qualitative, and all that. More information you will find on to our various other social media platforms also. We have already created a digital ecosystem. I strongly suggest do subscribe them, share those with your colleagues network, and share your suggestions and feedback also. Thank you. Bye.